Good day, podcast community. Pete Kane here with a special guest who is coming back from the Funny Farm or from thriveranch.co. So, Zanna, for those that didn't listen to the last one, I think everybody did, but for there maybe there's one person out there that doesn't know you. Would you tell our viewers who you are, what you do, and who you serve?
Yes, my name is Zanna Wolfgang, and I am the owner of Thrive Ranch Co. And I have recently given myself the title of Dream Cultivator because I feel like that truly encompasses all the layers that I am and my heart and mission.
Man, I love it. I see that is even more telling because of my story. Because when I met you at McKenna Farms, that was kind of a date with all three of my granddaughters, and
Yes.
it was a magical day. So it was kind of a dream to connect. And I was telling somebody the other day, and I remember like the little boy, he had to be 5, maybe 6. He had that chicken in his hand.
I know.
He had a smile from ear to ear, and he was holding that like a loaf of bread, and it was the most special moment because I'm sure for a lot of people we don't get a chance to connect with our other animals out there that are just not like dogs and cats. They're different. So
Yes.
tell us what does that mean when you say your pivot? Tell us a little bit
Yeah.
what happened there or what
Well,
was your discovery?
yes, I mean, gosh, life is ever evolving, and obviously, Thrive Ranch is named Thrive Ranch with purpose. Thriving is something that we're all aspiring to do. So many of us are walking through life just surviving. I have been that, can still be that some days. And so, what I endearingly call our funny farm is my dream turned reality. And so it seems a little far-fetched for those that haven't, been a part of our conversations before. It began with goats. It's evolved to alpacas and pigs and sheep and Highland cows and chickens and ducks and dogs and bunnies and all the fun things. And so what I've learned through this journey and so much more of my journey, walked through some very hard seasons. And, those continue to reveal themselves sometimes too. And so just finding ways to find joy in every day, the good and the hard, is my
Mhm.
mission. And so when I talk about the pivots, there have been so many along the way. And I think what I have learned that is most prominent through the journey is just when challenges present themselves, it's what we do with them that truly matters, and just being open to taking it all in and either figuring out if it's something you have to walk through or pivot or both. And so that's been a lot of my journey. When we relocated our whole Thrive Ranch down to Georgia from Montana in the last year, I had a kind of a vision on my heart, which is still evolving. At the time, I wasn't entirely clear what that was going to look like. I just knew that my mission to encourage people to consider their dreams and make them reality, as I've had the blessing to do and continue to do and evolve in, was the primary part of my vision. And initially, I thought that would solely be creating a space to come and interact with our animals, which I know is so powerful and healing, beyond words, what that offers in and of itself. But through the journey, I've realized that my vision and my mission is so much bigger than that,
Mhm.
really to change the world one heart at a time, by, you know, walking a walk that I talk, falling down and getting back up, sharing life lessons from here at the Funny Farm, which just taking the opportunity to observe the goings on every day with these animals, we can observe and learn so much. Uh,
Mhm.
and then I went to the county to kind of get things dialed in with what I wanted to do, which is my revive days, which I will still do, but I've had to shift what that looks like because apparently the land that I'm on doesn't necessarily allow for me to have that as a part of my business plan. So, I, again, at first I resisted that news because this vision is so big on my heart and I do want to share it with so many people. But I just stepped back and went, okay, what is this telling me? And again, it was that question, do I plow through this? Can I plow through this? Or do I need to step back and reevaluate? And so it had been on my heart to add the layer of what I am now calling the Thriver Tribe anyway. And it just ended up becoming the focal point of what I'm doing now. So instead of focusing on having people here, which I still will do, but just as friends, I struggled with the idea of charging people for that anyway, because I feel like it's such a blessing to share the experience. I've created a community that I think is so needed, and it is a space where people can come together and share what's on their heart, put out, share what their dreams are, give a space to really just be bold, be brave, be in fear and do it anyway, and have a support system that's going to encourage them to turn those dreams into reality. And even if that's one step every day. And speaking to dreams and speaking to thriving, for me, when I say dreams, I'm not saying everyone's dreams are going to be this big, hairy, audacious undertaking. For some, it's going to be. For others, it might be slowing down as their dream. Maybe they want to take a step back and get back in touch with the simple things. So whatever those dreams are, it's just about really considering what lights you up and what are you doing to cultivate what lights you up. And so when I came up with the title Dream Cultivator, it was very much tied into everything I do here every day. I am cultivating the land, I'm cultivating the love, and I'm cultivating my dreams. And I hope to encourage others to cultivate their own. And so anyway, I'm really excited about this community. I'm excited to still have people out for Revive Days and experience these animals, but in a capacity that you're my friend and you get to come experience this and not a part of my business plan.
Well, I took my oldest, and they picked where they want to go, and she picked a slime institute. It's in downtown Atlanta.
Okay.
And, so it was all around slime and creating and watching the kids just get so excited about. I think what we have fallen into, too much technology, the phones, the screens,
Yeah.
that has created a consumption mindset, and we're born to create. So I watched the kids. I just observed how they're just playing with the slime, having a good time. Well, it was like even buying the tickets ahead of time for an hour was $90. So it wasn't inexpensive, but I think our viewers sometimes, what I've noticed is we are doing something so impactful. We think that by providing it for free or for less than what the market is common, because you're putting your heart out there. You're watching kids connect. You're watching kids. And then we talked before we went on when at McKenna Farms, that little boy,
Yeah.
carrying that chicken. And it was just the most beautiful thing, because we're so inundated with technology, we don't get outside. We don't
Yes.
enjoy the sunshine, because if you're looking at a little screen, what this guy challenged us to do is go outside and look at the world. Look at everything out there and broaden those horizons, because we weren't built to look at a tiny screen. We just weren't. But
Well,
we
no. Yeah. And we were built to be connected with earth and with nature. And with the invention of technology and with progress, which while there's so many beautiful, wonderful things about that, we have become very disconnected from the very thing that gives us life, which is earth. And so that's an element. I just realize, again, there's not enough hours in every day to make the impact I want to make, having people get to come here and have that experience. While that will be something I love to share, I want to encourage people to be cultivating that in their life, no matter where they are. And one of the beautiful things about technology is that there is the opportunity to still do that, on a scale bigger than I ever imagined. And that's what I've
Mhm.
created is a platform where, people can check in daily, get different things. Seeds planted is basically what I say. I'm committed to planting some seeds every day for everyone, ways to get back in touch with nature, or to consider, reflections to consider, to allow them to get more in touch with what lights them up. And then simple, actionable steps for how to really bring those things that light them up to life, in one way or another. And then sharing the life lessons here. You spoke to the little boy with the chicken, and looking at the world through the eyes of a child or an animal, is such a really beautiful thing, because there's so much wonder and so much simplicity. And in the case of animals and children, so much just natural instinct and survival too, right? They find the joy in the sunshine, and they have their little pecking orders sometimes, and they have to work things out animal wise. And it's true with children too. If we give them space to navigate things, they can be so much more empowered than they are when we just stick them in front of a screen to keep them out of trouble, so.
So what, you mentioned, the journey of challenges and different things that come along the way. I think we always think that we see people on social media and we see the outcome of something, but we don't know the whole story, that how they got there. So people have this misconception that your journey, oh yeah, it just was like easy. You
Right.
just like one animal after another, and So
Yes.
tell us, like from just the most recent, you're working with a new city government. You're working with different people that have, because I see it with tiny homes. Different
Mhm.
counties accept them. Some are afraid of them. So
Right.
what was your challenge? Because I think that every we ought to be pouring down to the farm and connecting with the
Absolutely.
animals. So what was the issues that you had to work through or were confronted with when you wanted to
Yeah.
share that vision?
I'm glad that you asked that. And, I think the reality is, and this is something that I hope, again, to cultivate within the community that I'm building, but also I hope that ripples out into the world, right? That's how we change the world one heart at a time.
Mhm,
It starts with
mhm.
us. It starts with empowering our community, and then our community hopefully rippling out and empowering others and encouraging others. And unfortunately, government just is not set up that way. And I don't want to sound jaded. It's a box checking system, right?
Mhm.
And what I do does not fit in a box. And so when I went down there to do the right thing and just get the license, of course, thinking obliviously, this is no big deal. I live on agricultural land. I should be able to do some fun things with my farm. That said, um, nice enough gal, but she's asked me just what exactly do you do? I shared the Revive days with her, and she's like, I don't think you can do this on your property. Ultimately, I was told I would have to have 100 acres to be able to host people on my property outside of, I can run a business here, but I can't, what I was told is I can't have more than 2 people here at a time and not more than 8 in a day, which obviously definitely put a curveball. Excuse my puppy here barking. Lucy, come here. I don't know what she thinks she sees. It's probably her reflection. No, it's her.
Lucy's objecting to the government restrictions that
she's
she
yes, she's
heard.
defending
Like,
me.
like, hey, look, I want lots of kids here. We want
I know.
people
And
here.
she would be in heaven with lots of kids.
Yeah.
Um, if she doesn't stop, I may excuse myself just to let her out. I don't
Okay.
know. Do you mind if I just excuse myself one
Yeah,
second,
yeah,
or should I just?
absolutely.
Okay.
I'll ad lib while you're gone and come on back and let
Well,
Lucy
she
free
seems
to.
to have settled herself. So if
Oh,
she doesn't, then
okay,
I will skip out.
okay.
Anyway, so that was the reality. And so I asked to speak with a manager, because I'm not one to just take no for an answer without
Mhm.
exhausting every, solution that could be possible. And again, both women were very nice. They kind of wanted to categorize what I am doing here as a petting zoo, which is well, you have the opportunity to pet animals. It's so far from that. And I explained, well, can I not host a mastermind at my house? Because ultimately it's about coming out and the Revive Days are about coming out and considering what's possible for yourself, grounding in nature, harnessing our 3 superpowers, which I consider grounding, as I've mentioned in previous podcasts, personal responsibility, because that is where our power lies. And there's a lot of great lessons we can have around that here at the Funny Farm. And then last but not least is gratitude, and really just harnessing those things in our life are so transformative. So that is one of the many parts of the mission that I am on, to help people truly just thrive in life. And I can still do that whether I have people physically here or not. And that's what my mission is to share these messages. And I am now just really shifting gears to get out in the community and share this message. I have a beautiful horse trailer built that I've converted into a little pop-up shop. Everything around that I'll be, sharing from there is about dream cultivation. I'm really, really excited about what I have recently created, which are our best life buckets. And everything I do is very intentional. And when I speak to that, I also want to speak to thriving, because you mentioned how, yes, it looks pretty in pictures and it looks easy and it must have always been easy, right? And that is definitely not the case. In fact, I recently read something to the effect of everything that appears effortless required so much effort to look that effortless. And that is so very true in every part of my journey and everybody's journey, right? And so I want to make sure that I speak to that though I share a lot of the light and love here at the farm, whether that's on social media or when I speak to it, there's a lot behind the scenes that made it look so wonderful and effortless. And when I speak to thriving, for me, what that is, I did the little kid thing where you layer that out and, write thrive down and gave a meaning to each word to get really clear on what that is. And for me, thriving is being thankful, being healthy. What is it next? Resilient, because resilience is so key in thriving. And then inspired, I for inspired, V victorious, and E evolving. So that to me is what thriving is. And that doesn't mean that I am just going through every single day, having the best day of my life and on cloud 9. It means having the strength, the resilience to get up when I've been knocked down, feel what I need to feel when I need to feel it, and scream at the top of my lungs if I need to scream at the top of my lungs, and release whatever I need to release, and just take my power back and seek the healing when I need healing. And it's not all easy and effortless, but it's about living and really taking the bull by the horns, for lack of better words. I speaking to that, I was off guard recently, and I went down there to do a quick little video, and I know better. Talk about personal responsibility, like literally whacking me in the face. All the animals came and were surrounding me. Rowdy, our big guy with his huge horns, came up behind me, and he turned his head. And usually I am very respectful, because though he's a gentle giant, he has huge horns, and I am aware of that. And I always tell everyone else to be aware of that. Well, I had my guard down, was doing a quick video, and he turned his head. And I've never been punched in the face, but I think I can legit say I've been punched in the face by a Highland horn now. He got me real good, knocked me for a little bit of a loop. I mean, just it surprised me. But it was just a quick reminder how fast life can life you. And just a reminder that we have to be paying attention and be responsible. So anyway, those are just a few little things that I want to make sure I share about my message, so that people that are seeking to thrive too don't think, oh, to be a part of that world, I have to be chasing a dream and dialed in and living a high. No, it's about cultivating that on the good days and the hard days.
What you froze for a second on the E.
Okay.
What was the E in Thrive?
Evolving.
Evolving. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I'm a kind of that same one, acronyms, and just
Mhm.
spelling out things. But that really is good how you took Thrive and put those words to it. My one question, when you look at your journey, when you hit tougher times, we call them that I had a person, and I don't know if we talked about it before, but we call it PTSD. We all know that,
Yes.
but we don't know that we take the D and we put a G, and the G is for growth. So we grow through our trauma or our stress. And another person said, well, we can grow or we can wither. And it's kind of like the
Mhm.
choice how we embrace that journey, that trauma, that stress. I mean, because it's not a clear path. It's always up and down, sideways, pivoting. Because we talked about it before we went on the air. There's always pivots to everything because
Yeah.
there's no straight line. So, what would you say, like, give our viewers an idea of what your typical day is? And then I would like you to kind of talk further when you get hit in the face by one of your animals, like, how is it different now versus a couple years ago in your journey?
Yeah, I think, well, a day here, it starts around 4:30 in the morning. I
Mhm,
believe for me to be thriving, I need time for me before I pour into everything and everyone else. And so in
mhm,
order to ensure that happens, I get up early and I take time to journal and have my cup of coffee and just reflect on whatever I might need to reflect on before I launch into my day. That's really important to me. I then usually get some sort of a workout in, whether I go to the gym or do something here again, because I know that I physically, mentally, emotionally show up so much better for myself when
mhm,
I've done that. And then I get back and start in on all the chores, which, man, talking about finding my strength mentally, physically, and emotionally, now having, this responsibility. I mean, I carry 50-pound bales like it's nothing these days and check things
mhm,
around and do what I need to do, shovel, poop, all the things that, aren't so pretty, behind the scenes, I get done. And I find it all so therapeutic. And usually while I'm doing that, I have some sort of a tune singing in my pocket, which I sometimes, sometimes just the perfect tune comes on right when you need it to speak to you in some capacity. Or sometimes I'm listening to something that, is educational or just fills my cup in some ways, because that's the other thing to be thriving. It's constantly pouring. We have to be pouring and nurturing and cultivating ourselves. It's not a one and done, fill you up and you're good to go. You have to keep
mhm,
adding all of that. And then pivoting, during the day, like you said, getting hit in the face with a horn. There's no better example of how life can do that to you too. And
mhm,
the tools that I have today that I, didn't have a long time ago was just knowing that when you're feeling down or whatever you need to feeling, the highs, the lows, you have to know that this too will pass. The good stuff's going to come and go, and the hard stuff's going to come and go. And I say hard rather than bad because, again, I say that very intentionally because I don't think there is much that is bad. It's just hard. And that hard
mhm,
is what shapes us. And that hard is also what gives us the perspective to really appreciate the good and the easy, right? Without that, how could we value the other stuff? Um, and so I'm ever evolving. Like right when I think I got that figured out, oh no, it's no, I don't. And nothing speaks to that more actually than I actually launched the Thriver Tribe on February 7th. Well, it was supposed to be February 17th. I actually had to pivot from that as well and push it to the 19th due to some technological challenges.
mhm,
And so I embraced that and launched on the 19th. And I cannot tell you how I have never just had something so much bigger on my heart than this mission. And I launched into it with such confidence, and I'm on such a high because I do know the impact it is going to make. So while I have this huge, exciting moment in my life, I also am struggling with some personal challenges. And so these things are going on simultaneously. And we've been navigating a lot in this last year because as we made this move to Georgia, which my husband and I chose this together, planned to do it together, and business has kept him kind of tied up in Montana, which we thought was going to be a couple months. It's now turned into 9 months, which obviously that comes with its struggles. There's been back and forth, but he has to be primarily there a lot right now. I am able to pop out there, here and there as well. And the target date of that keeps getting pushed due to circumstances beyond our control. However, at the end of the day, we know it's all within our control. And so we have to make some pivots there too, because what we envisioned that to look like, it's not happening that way. So we have to reevaluate what that looks like. That said, I have the most exciting moment in my life happening while I'm juggling these very challenging personal things and things that I thought I had walked through and maybe fully healed. Going through all this has kind of revealed some cracks in that in my soul, right? That I need to still walk through, and he too, the same. And so, again, there's just blessings in all of it, and those cracks and letting that hurt come up that, apparently we need to walk through. We could let that break us, or we could look at it for what it is, and it is an opportunity to look within and look at what needs healing that maybe, I know for me, I cannot speak for him, look at what still needs healing from my journey that I thought had healed. But what I'm recognizing is, yes, there has been a lot of healing, but there's also been a lot of me just numbing that out so I could power on with my mission, right? And so that's bubbling up a little bit. And these last few days, ironically, since you asked this, I'm just going to be super vulnerable about it. I've let myself really feel what I needed to feel. And that came with a lot of tears. And those tears are so beautiful. And actually, it just within the last few days, it's just been raining buckets. And to have this simultaneous joy happening that I'm so excited about, but feeling these things that I maybe thought I had allowed myself to feel and hadn't, and I'm really letting myself feel. These tears are just coming up in a way that I don't know that I've ever let myself cry. And it's raining, so it's such a free space to let those tears fall because the rain is raining out of me, out of the sky. And it just feels so good. And I just want to share with people that that's okay too. And I consider that also thriving,
Yes.
It's letting that out and embracing that it's happening with purpose. And I think I got a little off track, but it's pivoting, right? It's looking at that as a beautiful thing and not a bad thing, maybe a hard thing, but also joy in that hard.
No, I'm glad you went on that and talked it through a little bit, because I think I know I journal every day, twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. And I was talking to a friend Sunday about his journey. He's younger and he's an attorney, and he went to Covington County. There was 350 cases that were brought at one time. So he was there for 3 hours. So we were talking. I said, what do you do for 3 hours that keep you challenged, occupied, whatever? And so it led to journaling. And he said, yeah, the last time I journaled was through a bad breakup in college. And then I threw the journal away because I didn't want to be reminded of it. And I did the same thing. Is when I went through tough times, you'd always hear, well, you got to do a gratification journey. You got to write what you're grateful for. So I go, okay, I'm feeling really bad. Let me start doing it. I'd expect to do one thing and it would just magically click. But so I never consistently did it until I had a stroke 3 years ago. I have probably 10 full journals. So you mentioned journaling. How have you been using journaling to help you on your journey?
I'm glad you asked that because you're right. The gratitude thing is so powerful. Again, coming back to those superpowers on those hard days, taking, time to reflect on what there is to be grateful for is so powerful. And I have definitely channeled that and used that to shift my energy. And gosh knows when you're feeling in a funk, that's the hardest time to really
Mhm.
harness what you're grateful for, but probably the most important time to do so. So that's powerful, but also just letting it flow out of me, letting whatever comes to mind flow out of me. And as I'm creating content to plant the seeds for this Thriver Tribe community, letting that pour out of me, I find little nuggets, that I feel like can be something powerful, something so simple and powerful to share with others. But it's such a release, and it can also be so empowering to see what flows out of you and
Mhm.
either harness more of that or recognize that maybe there's something there to release. And gosh, what a simple, free, fabulous resource, right?
Yeah. Has
Um,
it given you, because I geek out when I hear things that people do to just become better. And so I'll ask people, like mainly my guy friends, like, and very few guys journal, but I think more ladies and girls journal than it appears to me when I'm talking. But
sure.
it's given me clarity. Do you see that getting those thoughts out of your head and actually physically writing them out, has that helped you with some, that clarity muscle?
Yes, that has helped with my clarity muscle immensely. And another thing that helps me with clarity and peace is I have really harnessed doing breath work. I have my little pest here, Lucille. I'm going to let her out so I can be more
Okay.
present with
Yeah,
you.
that's fine.
One second,
That's
Lucy,
fine.
come on.
Okay.
Come on. Go, go, go. Oh, Lucy. Good. Okay, I apologize. She didn't
No
even go out because she's like, "Well, I want to go out, but I want you to come with me." So it is
problem.
what it is.
Say I'll be with you in just a few minutes.
Oh my
You're
gosh.
at our live event.
Um,
We spoke about grounded personal accountability and gratitude. So I just put it up on the screen so our viewers will, one, the next live event that we can get you up from South Georgia, we want to have you back because it is so important to be grounded, being personal, have that accountability and gratitude. So just continue your conversation. I just wanted to put that
yes.
up on the screen.
Thank you for sharing that. And I look forward to the opportunity to come back and share. For me, something that I've really harnessed is hypno breath work specifically. But, for everyone, that's different, whether that's meditation, prayer, breath work. But
Mhm.
the hypno breath work that I have been doing has been so powerful for me. It is to music, which my brain that really benefits from a little bit more upbeat music. So for whatever reason, that really keeps me a little bit more focused. There are mini sessions that are only 8 minutes, which for my attention span is ideal. There are longer sessions as well, but taking time to just really purposefully breathe and visualize what it is, that I'm wanting to either cultivate or walk through. I cannot tell you how powerful and how much clarity comes to me every time I do that. And then I take that and journal about whatever it is that came to me. And yet
Mhm.
another very simple tool, can be free. You can find different resources, where there's a minimal fee, but that is so valuable to all of us. And when I have the opportunity, I do that as much as I can
Mhm.
with no shoes on, laying on the grass, or on the sidewalk, somewhere where I'm connecting with the earth to get that added benefit of grounding. Um, Such a powerful tool that I would encourage anyone to be willing to look silly enough to get out and do it.
Yeah, it's those kind of things that I think in a digital world, in a technology world, we have to be aware of where technology takes us. We take the good, leverage it, but also connecting to nature. I've heard so much about actually taking your shoes off, go out in your yard,
Mhm.
walking in the grass, connecting with the earth, what that does for our soul and for our heart and for just how we are approaching the day.
And
So,
not just our soul and our heart, it physically has so many benefits, from reduced
right.
inflammation to better sleep. There's so many benefits that they're escaping me right now, but it
Mhm.
physically affects us in a very powerful way, as well as mentally and emotionally.
Man, that's so good. So what are you working on that you're excited about right now that you would want to put out to our community
Yeah.
that they can support and help you? Like, because together we're better. And in a community, like I don't know any government people down in your area, but it's I had a person and we talked briefly about her, but she has a friend who's 6 hours away. He's in Nigeria, and he's a professional soccer player. And she said, "Who do you know that he wants to come here and play soccer? He only needs to meet one person." I said,
Right.
"Yes, I agree. But you got to go through 1,000 people maybe to find that one. It's not just
Yes.
one connection. It's continuing to put yourself out there, so because people are busy. So
Yep.
what can we do to help you in your journey? And what would be beneficial for our community to know?"
Yeah, thank you for that so much. And it's really helping spread my message. And so I don't think I've done really even myself justice on what that is in this conversation, but I will just circle back to it really is about cultivating our dreams. And so I have a few things that I am so excited about that I believe will help people to do that. And one, it is the Thriver Tribe. And it is open to anyone and everyone. It seems that, I definitely attract more women, probably because they're open to kind of the things that I share, but anyone is open to it. So that is going on right now. And I want to just talk to the intentionality that I spoke to before, because every element of what I'm doing, there's so much intentionality to it, from the Thriver Tribe to the best life buckets that I started to touch on, that I will share real quickly. I realized, through my retreats that I've done in the past and the Revive days that I have created, one of the things we do is we fill our buckets, and we do that very intentionally. And I recognized that it's kind of a spin on filling your cup, right? But we have a lot of buckets around here. So it became filling your buckets. And what those buckets are our dream buckets, the bucket where we intentionally put the things that we're dreaming of, the things we aspire for. And maybe that's just sitting down as a family at dinner more nights than not is your dream right now. Amazing. Put it in the bucket, metaphorically or physically. And then we have the let it go bucket. And that is where you intentionally put what's heavy in there. And again, all of these buckets can be metaphorical, but I do have a really adorable set of buckets that I now sell,
Mhm.
that are your best life buckets. So your let it go bucket. And then last but not least is the gratitude bucket. And that is where we put what we're grateful for and let that overflow. And when you get a set of my best life buckets, it comes with a guide to how to intentionally cultivate your best life. And that is by dreaming and letting go of what's heavy and being grateful. And the goal is to have a ritual around each one of these buckets. And the dream bucket would be that you come together with your family or your community or your team, however often you agree upon, to dump that bucket out and have some really meaningful conversations around that, right? And that does help to further cultivate the dreams and the goals that you've put in that bucket. And then the let it go bucket, there's some recommendations for ways to really let that go. But the way that I love to do it and the way I've done it with our retreats in the past is we burn everything that's in there and we release that out into the universe. And it's a very therapeutic process. And then the gratitude bucket, there's a lot of fun ways, but definitely dumping it out and talking with your family or team about, what you're grateful for. And there's fun ways to either cultivate that back into growth of flowers or releasing that onto the universe. I have some fun recommendations that the guide comes with. So my hope with those is that they are, in my perfect world, they'd be in every home and every classroom and every office throughout the world, because I believe in the intentionality of cultivating these things. And this gives it that very physical element of really doing that. But even if they aren't in every home, if the concepts can be harnessed, my goodness, we really can change the world. Lots of hearts at a time. So you can find those on my website that is there and learn more about those, and incorporating that into your family. And then the Thriver Tribe, of course, my intention with that, again, I want as many people to get to come here and experience the animals, but I know that that's not attainable for everyone all the time. And so I want to bring that experience as much as I can to you through this community. And of course, you can follow along for free on our social media, and we share life lessons daily there, which is amazing. But I also created a platform on what's called locals.com. I very specifically chose this platform because it's community oriented. So yes, while I'm sharing and planting seeds there, everyone that's a part of our Thriver Tribe can share. It's their community too. They can share whatever they want to, that they need support in, or, that they're celebrating their wins. That is a space for them to do it. And because I've lost everything on Facebook before, I also wanted a space where I owned all of the content. And so that is another reason I strategically chose this space. And what that looks like, because I believe so much in what this community is and will be in people's lives, I want it to be attainable to as many people as possible. So in thinking through what that looked like, I put a lot of thought into it. And ultimately, I know that most people splurge on some fancy coffee with whipped cream at least once a month, or something to that effect. Maybe it's a glass of wine, whatever it is. Most people do splurge on something. And I want them to be able to trade that splurge for something that really cultivates their life. And so I did the research on what a fancy cup of coffee is, and it came in that $5 to $10 range. So then I went down the rabbit hole of the numerology and the meaning of numbers. And when I found number 7 and really did the research on that, I chose it to be $7 a month, because 7 represents good fortune. It represents connectedness and togetherness. It's sacred and divine in many cultures. And so, again, the intentionality behind everything I'm doing, down to the attainability, don't mind Lucy back there, to the meaning of the number 7 is so important to me. And we're donating $1 of each subscription to charity every month. And the hope is that, we can grow this thing in a way that we're making a huge impact just by being in this community with the charities we choose to impact every month as time goes on. So if it's something you're interested in, you can find all the information at Thrive Ranch Co. And I would love to support you in any capacity I can.
That is so good. I love that intentional, the buckets, because I think that I heard somebody talk about as a kid, we have these big eyes. We're always asking why. We're out there but as we get a little older, our vision shrinks. Like we're only looking at it from a small lens. It's like, get out. It's still big out there, but you got to have that vision. You got to be intentional about growing that. I mean, it's not like you wake up one day and all of a sudden you have this big vision, just like you shared. It gets bigger as you kind of feed it. You go on that journey, and it's not like you have this huge, like something hits you in your journaling that you all of a sudden have the biggest vision,
Right.
it keeps developing. And if you're
Yeah.
intentional about that as a family, really working on that vision, because the kids see what the mom and dad do. And if you're talking vision, you're talking gratitude, you're talking what you just
Yeah.
described in the buckets, it helps them to start thinking bigger, thinking about
Yes.
things, and it allows the family to grow. I love that. So,
I love it so much. And that's why I said, like, if my perfect world, it would be in every home, in every space,
yeah.
because of what I know it can do. And I know that that's not realistic, but if I can have that be in as many spaces as possible and, have people really harness that, my gosh, how phenomenal would that be?
Well, we'll put this in the show notes and we'll describe it too, because, I think it's once you get that idea, you're exactly right about the cup of coffee I mean, I remember this was years ago before, I think it was in the early days of Starbucks, and my youth pastor, we were serving it, and I said, "Hey, can we get you a cup of coffee or something like that?" And he goes, "Yeah, get me," and he rattled off
Yeah.
all this stuff. And I go to the window, that'll be $10. I went for a cup of coffee.
I know. I remember
I
thinking,
mean, like,
who'd
really? I
ever
mean,
pay that for a cup of coffee? And here we are. So
and
I
it's
hope.
like, yeah, it's more that they've just gotten conditioned. Even when I went out with my daughter, she likes the boba tea, like
Okay. Yep.
and so all those little, and so we're coming back from the slime factory or slime institute. I said, "Do you want anything you know like that?" And she goes, "Yeah, oh, that'd be great." So we go. It was about $10 for
Right.
because you get used to adding a few things,
Sure.
and you drop $10 like that,
And you
and
know
it's like,
what's
and it's gone.
crazy
It's
is
gone.
people do that without a thought.
Yeah.
But
No,
to
they
do
don't even
something
think.
for themselves, they
Yes.
will get in their own way. But I
Yeah.
know that, slowly but surely more and more people will get out of their way, and that
Yeah.
will ripple, and others will see the value and choose to trade that cup of coffee for something that can actually cultivate something beautiful in their lives.
Totally
But
agree.
change is not easy. So I
No, no,
encourage
I know.
people
You're right about it. You just get
to,
into that
yeah,
regular routine of going through that drive-through, ordering that double scoop through, all the
well, you
stuff.
need it, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You
It's
need
like,
it.
and we justify it by saying, "Well, I work hard, so I deserve this." But,
Right.
without vision, you perish. I mean, it's biblical.
Yeah.
So, by cultivating our vision, by doing something that'll help you dream, by being grateful for what you have, because we're blessed in America to have all these
So
modern things
blessed.
that we sometimes just overlook them because we're so conditioned with convenience. So that is so good, Zanna. Thank you so
100%.
much for sharing that. And we'll put this
Thank
out to
you.
our community because we need to support that specific intentionality because that is really, really good. So I know we're a little over, but that's okay. What would be the one thing you would want our our viewers today to take home from our podcast?
The one thing I want them to take home is just choose you, and whatever that looks like, choose to do something that makes you a better you every
Mhm.
day, and feel what you need to feel, the good and the hard, but just choose you.
Awesome. Man, I love it. So thank you so much. I always end most of my podcast, not my podcast, my content. Be bold, make a difference, and have fun. And so I can see you're definitely bold. I mean, you're there, taking care of the animals, getting hit in the face when they turn the wrong way, and just putting that intentionality out there. That is so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that with our
Thank
community.
you,
I
Pete.
appreciate your time. Thanks you.